Hello and welcome to Flix and Chill with me, Luke. Today I have a very special guest with me. It's Natalie, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to actually pronounce your last name. So why
That's
don't you take it
okay.
away and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everybody. My name is Natalie Veater. I know the last name trips people up sometimes.
hmm
Um, I am an actress and film producer, and I'm very happy to be joining Luke today.
Thank you, honestly, thank you so much for being here. So not only you're an actor, not only you're a producer, you've also studied film, correct?
I have, yes. So I graduated from the Savannah College of Art and Design, or
hmm
SCAD, in Savannah, Georgia. I'm sure any art person will be familiar with it. I'm sure probably some SCAD alums will listen in.
hmm
It's an awesome school, amazing resources, really incredible place to learn, and I'm very grateful for my time there and everything I
hmm
learned.
So, see, here's the thing, because like I've never studied any film. Like I've never gone to any film school. I just watch a lot of movies. That's about it, right? What is the most, I think, what is the most you've taken from that school? What is the one or two things that that school has taught you when it comes to movies?
I think the main thing that you learn when you're there, besides the technical stuff, of course, like how to shoot using a camera, all of those
hmm
things,
hmm
I think it really teaches you about story beats and
hmm
things like that because you make a lot of short films when you're in film school and really like you have to condense a narrative into a short amount of time. So once you kind of learn those base story beats, I think you can almost pick them out in other things. So my partner actually gets on me all the time because he's like, "How can you guess the endings to all these movies? I mean, I'll guess endings of TV shows like two episodes in."
Yeah.
He's like, "I've never met anybody else that can do that." And I think it's film school. I think it teaches
hmm
you kind of like ways that narratives will go, things that they'll take or they'll do. And like the more you watch, I mean, the more you learn. I'm sure you might be the same way if you've seen so many movies, right?
Definitely, you can definitely like sense like there's a pattern to most of those stories. Well, like how they what they say. There's only what about like nine plot lines ever. Like you can create like man versus machine, man versus man versus nature,
Right.
nature versus machine, all those combinations, and they all have been told. So now we just need to steal from the best and put our different spin on it. So where it spins just differently enough, where it makes a new movie. And
Definitely.
that's really what it takes. At least that's for me. But I haven't studied it, so like I need to pick your brain because you probably can tell me better.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's interesting how you can kind of track those patterns. And like you learn
Mhm,
about act structure, three-act structure versus something
mhm.
like The Mummy, for example, is a five-act structure. So it's
Oh.
kind of like a larger, more epic story told at different levels.
hmm
So yeah, those are things that you pick up, but also when it comes to being in film school, you can specialize a lot of the time in something. So personally, I specialized in producing.
Okay.
And when you do specialize in that, it teaches you a lot about breaking down scripts for logistical purposes, right? Like, how am I actually going to make sure that we get this done? And I
hmm
think that also teaches you to kind of look at everything with a more detailed eye, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, okay, let's go there before we move into you as an actress or an actor. You as a producer, because I think many people still have problems understanding, oh yeah, the producer just, puts money into it and then walks away. But many producers are quite hands-on, right? Many producers would supervise scripts, would be on a set. So day to day, what does a producer do?
Yeah, so I think the term producer gets thrown around a lot
hmm
and people don't totally know what it means. So I get asked this all the time, like what does a producer actually do?
Yeah.
And the answer is that there are different levels, right? So you have more day to day. You have your producers who are kind of producers in general, and they're the ones who are kind of making sure that everything gets done, like all the logistical work. How are we going to transport everybody here? Where are we going to shoot this thing? All of that stuff.
hmm
It's kind of more to general producers. And then as you go up, you have creative producers who handle more, if the story needs to change because of logistical reasons, what are we going to do? And then you have your exec producers who are the ones that actually finance everything.
hmm
So that's where the money comes from. And that's always kind of what you're looking for as a filmmaker, especially in the beginning, trying to get your stuff made.
So yeah, for you to become an executive producer, you really need to have some sort of money behind you, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Executive producer is basically the title that you give the person with the biggest paycheck.
So
They
how
probably
come
wouldn't like me saying that, but it's the truth.
so how come nowadays like I see like six executive producers, but then when they are nominated for an Oscar, there's only like two names instead of all six. I've noticed that the last Oscar nomination, where many of them, like Best Picture, this is the nominated picture, nominees to be decided, and people apparently haven't filled the paperwork, or like they had to, like, I don't know, draw straws. Like, how does this work? Like, if you have
Yeah.
six or eight executive producers, but only two get the nomination, quote unquote. Would you know?
So I think there are instances in which studios especially will assign producers to projects.
Hmm.
And then the studio can be credited as an executive producer just because of the money that they put into the project.
Hmm.
So my guess is that it's always kind of a toss-up, like who will actually go up onto the stage, but it likely will be the person who either is affiliated with the studio
Hmm.
or has given the most money, because there can be like six executive producers, but probably from different companies,
Hmm.
um, who all contributed something, but whoever is the biggest chunk of the money will go up to
Yeah.
accept the award, and who also typically they do the most work to make sure that their investment gets brought back to them, you know?
Yeah, it gets the most reward because they invested the most amount of money, I would imagine.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then you can also, it's interesting how it works because the money will go towards different things, right? So even on a multi-million dollar project,
Hmm.
most of the money is going to your cast, to your actors, all of those things. So likely the executive producer also has some kind of ties to name talent that they bring
Hmm.
onto the project, which kind of
I see.
helps. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Okay.
about actors, which is
S-
interesting.
See, that's the thing, right? Like, so, like, you do so much. So, okay, like, I've learned something about producing, and now let's talk about a bit more about you as an actor. Have you always
Yeah.
known you wanted to be an actor, or what sparked that for you?
I think it was always in there.
Hmm.
I think I kind of like refused to believe that I could do it, honestly, for a long time. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of why I went into producing instead, because I loved movies. I knew that I wanted to work in production
Hmm.
somehow. And I think acting is the first love for sure. But I was like, I can't actually do that. So I'll just be a producer instead, which I do love also.
Hmm.
But when I started working on more projects and things like that, I kind of started to see like, okay, like maybe I can do this. Maybe there are avenues that I can take. And I was actually working as a talent agent for a while,
Hmm.
for a company that did a lot of like live events, specifically with Seminole gaming properties like Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Florida, for example.
Okay.
So through that, I met someone who was like, okay, you're in film, you've done some stuff, like send me your reel. And I was like, okay. So I sent my reel over
Hmm.
and he was like, you could do this. Like you're good. You're not bad. Like you can act. I
Hmm.
was like, okay. So he connected me with a couple different people, and then through that I started booking more projects and it kind of just happened. It's so funny. Like once you put your energy towards something, it really does come back to you in that way.
Hmm. Hmm. So, all right, do you obviously you're like very young and you're just starting out, right? Is
Yeah.
there something you wish to conquer, let's say tomorrow? Let's say you wake up tomorrow and have the ultimate power over Hollywood, and you get to choose any project, you get to choose any director, you get to choose anything you want. Is there something that's like, I wish I could play this role? I wish I could join, I don't know, Marvel. I wish I could work with this director. What's on top of your list, like professionally?
On that scale? Oh,
Hmm.
that's such a tough question, but it's such
I
a
know.
good. Oh my goodness. So, okay. Thinking about it, like if I could have done anything, because I
Yeah.
think the way it was done was perfect and I don't want it to be redone.
Hmm.
Lord of the Rings to me
Mm.
is incredible. I mean, both on a story side, but also on a production side. Like the production of that is incredible. And if you don't know the behind the scenes of it, I encourage everybody to go and check it out because it's just a fascinating story about
Hmm.
how they got this done. So I think because it was essentially, sorry, I'm gonna go off for a little bit, but
No,
it's
please
essentially
do.
like a giant indie production.
Hmm.
Like they did not have the studio backing exactly that other places had. It
Hmm.
was crazy. So they kind of just pulled everything out of a hat, and Peter Jackson was like, "We're gonna do this. We're gonna film it in New Zealand." New Zealand had like no infrastructure for this, so they literally like built studios there. They built houses there. They built all the sets there. Like they just got it done. It was like a giant community project, and that to me, I think is the heart of filmmaking.
Hmm.
So I think if you asked me like what my dream would be to do something like that,
So would
something
you like it like a production of that scale, or like to act in a production of
yes.
such a scale?
To act and produce,
To act.
honestly, a
Okay, so
production of
both.
that scale. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
both. I think just being able to create an environment like that, to do something adventure related, I think would be so fun.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm trying to think of some material, if there's like a book or something that hasn't been adapted yet, but there's so much that's already been done that it's hard to say.
I know, right? It's like,
But
like original movies they seem to be like a rare breed, but like they're still out there.
yeah.
It's just like nowadays are, straight to streaming, really. And then you need to
Yeah,
like search them, and sometimes it's frustrating when it's like this is such a great movie and nobody talks about it.
exactly. Exactly. But I guess it's something that's like on that scale that's happening right now. Obviously not at the indie plus level, but at the
Mhm.
studio level is Nolan's Odyssey. I think
Oh
that
yeah.
would probably be amazing to be a part of. I think that's going to be great. So I'm excited to see what he does with that source material.
You
That's
mean the
going to be
movie
great.
that's like half of Hollywood is already signed up to do? Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like every name ever is on that project. And it's crazy. Like you can now through social media like see when they're filming and things like that. And people will leak stuff all the time, which is crazy to
Hmm.
me.
And I feel
But
and I really like how he's got that like an up and coming, possibly power couple of Zendaya and Tom Holland, like being in a movie
yeah,
together. Like obviously they've been in Spider-Man movies, yeah.
right, right, right.
But under Nolan, I'm hyped for that movie. I'll say that.
Yeah, as am I. I'm excited. And I'm not always Nolan's biggest fan, to be honest, but I think
Oh.
this one he's gonna do very well.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm
So
excited for that.
so why do you have beef with Christopher Nolan? Tell me.
Oh, Christopher Nolan. Listen, I think I love most of his concepts. I think it's cool. I'm all for like mind bending with people. Like I love that stuff.
Hmm.
I like most of his work, I will say.
Hmm.
But like Tenet, for example,
Yep, yep.
we
I
went one
was.
step too I think we went one step too far. And like when somebody asks about the science in your movie, like someone in the movie asks about the science of the movie, and your
Mhm.
response is literally like, "Don't worry about it." I think that's one of the lines in there, or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
yeah.
And I was like, "Well, this is like what? Now you've confused yourself. Like, how am I supposed to follow along if you're confused?" So
Hmm.
that one, like maybe that was a one-off because I did love Interstellar and I loved Inception,
Hmm.
obviously.
Hmm.
Um, and the oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name.
Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer was great as well. But the one, The Magicians,
Oh, The Prestige.
The Prestige. Yes, I loved that one also. So
Hmm.
there's just like every once in a while one happens and I'm like, well,
Hmm. Hmm. No, no, like Tenet, I kind of
where are we going?
knew this is where your answer is gonna go because like like
Really?
Tenet is the obvious one out for Nolan because yeah, there was
Yeah.
like he was trying to like like basically he was like by his own admission he was trying to reimagine action genre and I'm
Right.
like all right and then I saw the movie and I was like that's a movie all right I
That's a
haven't
movie. Exactly.
I
Exactly. I totally get
I haven't seen it since.
it.
I liked it more than most because I still think there's a lot of technical stuff there. It's like on another level.
Right.
But if you ask me what's happening in the movie, I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll give you the technical stuff, but it was very like, I don't know if you ever saw, I think it's Jumper with,
Yes.
you know what I'm talking
Hayden
about?
Christensen, yeah.
Yes, with Hayden Christensen, it was very that to me. And I was like, where are we going? I don't know. I can't follow anymore.
That's a movie that has a great premise, and then the execution is
It's just not there.
fine. Like it's
Yeah.
okay. Like it's not the
Yeah.
worst movie. Like but
Yeah.
it's perfectly fine. And for such a for a movie with such a great premise, like perfectly fine feels like a letdown.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that that is always kind of the worst thing is when like you really hype yourself up about a story that you really like and then the execution is like, ah, well, guys, what are
Yep.
we doing? What
Yeah.
are we doing
Go.
here?
Like, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
No. Exactly. So where do you currently reside?
So right now I am in Miami, Florida. That's where I call
Hmm.
home. I'm from there, born there, raised there.
All right. All right.
I do move around a lot, I will say, for productions. So
Well, you're
wherever
an
the film is, I am.
actor. You're a producer. Well, you're busy. Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that kind of life, isn't it? Like when
It
you
is.
work in that Hollywood environment, you need to be very flexible. I would imagine when it comes to, oh yeah, this week I live here, next week I live there.
Yeah, yeah, and it's tough sometimes because I know. I mean, last year I spent about a month working in Utah, which was
Oh.
amazing. I didn't want to leave; it was
Hmm.
great.
Hmm.
But it does, like after a while, the people that you're working with become your family because you haven't seen your family in so long. Like I can't imagine on some of these Hollywood productions where they have you relocate for months
Hmm.
to, Europe or Asia or, anywhere really. It'd be amazing, but at the same time, I'm
Hmm.
sure it's tough.
Well, speaking of Lord of the Rings, they famously went to New Zealand for 18 months and shot all the
Yeah.
three movies together, right? Like effective
Yes,
almost
they
together.
did.
Like, so
They
imagine,
did. It's
shooting and
crazy.
being on that set for pretty much a year and a half.
Yeah, and it's funny when you hear about everybody's different experience because most of the guys on it were very young.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they had a great time, but I know Sean Astin, who played Samwise Gamgee, for example, he was like a young father. He just had a kid, so his wife and his kid moved to New Zealand with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that like that was really difficult to kind of deal with just because like you have the pressure of having a family. You uprooted your entire family to go film movies in New Zealand, and also just kind of that dichotomy between him being a family man and like the guys being, like young single guys getting into trouble, going drinking,
Yeah.
like all that stuff was really tough. So I can imagine, especially when you have a family, that it's hard.
No, I would imagine, but at least they got the chance to relocate to New Zealand for a bit, so at least they did the best out of the, I wouldn't even say worst situation, just like eh, good
Different,
situation,
different situation. No, for sure,
different,
for sure. I'm
yes.
sure it was amazing. Yeah, but it's really a once in a lifetime thing.
Hmm. So you said Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida.
All right,
Yes.
and you were born and raised there, correct?
Born and raised there, yeah.
Nice.
By
So I'm
my
I'm
parents.
looking forward to what are you gonna say next. So if I were to ask you, Natalie, I'm coming there for a week, 1 week, right? Just for a holiday. Where would
Right.
you, as a native Floridian, that's a word I'm guessing, maybe? I don't know. Where would
Yes, but
you
like
recommend
native
me?
Floridian and Miami person are two different
Yes.
things. Like people from Miami will not claim the rest of Florida, just like the rest
Oh,
of Florida
really?
might not claim Miami, to be honest. Yes.
I didn't know that's such a wait. Okay, I'll stop myself
Yeah.
there for a bit. I didn't know there's such a rival, like, or not even there's like a beef. What's that about?
It's just very different.
Is it?
Miami is kind of its own country. Yes. Like I hesitate to
Mm,
call it a piece of the United States, to be honest. Because I mean, it is a city full of immigrants. Both of my parents came from South America, for
mhm,
example.
mhm,
So it's, I mean, the native language of the city is Spanish. If you don't speak Spanish, sorry.
mhm,
Like I've had friends of mine move from other places in the States, come to Miami and then leave because they felt like there wasn't enough people for them to talk to. Like the culture is very different.
mhm.
And leaving Miami to go to other states, I kind of feel the same way. Like it is definitely its own place.
I see. So it's kind of in a
Yeah.
way. Have you ever been to London?
I have
Hmm.
briefly, just for a few
Okay.
days.
Because like that's often obviously I live in Scotland. So
Right.
a lot I hear that a lot about London that England is very conservative, very
Right.
proper, like very the mindset is not great when it comes to certain
Yeah.
things like race, all that.
Yeah.
However, London is its own thing. Like if you go to London, like you will see all the different people, all different cuisine. Like you get to if you wanted you can get like meal from this place, this place, this place, like by native Londoners, but
Right.
who like are
Right.
first generation, like immigrants and all that. So it's
Yeah.
like proper melting pot. So is
Right.
Miami kind of the same?
I would say so, yes. I mean,
Mm.
definitely more a concentration of, I think, Hispanic people, Hispanic
Hmm.
Americans than any
Hmm.
other race per se. But you can definitely find, I mean, everything there.
Okay.
Really good Indian food, obviously great Hispanic food. My favorite personally is Peruvian food. I think they have the
Hmm.
best food ever. So, okay, going back to your question, what would I
Hmm.
tell you to do? I would tell you to
Hmm.
go and eat everywhere, try everything because all of the restaurants there are amazing.
Hmm.
Not even like, because Miami also, I think, is known for being like a very flashy party city,
Yep.
which it can be if you want it to be that. But I think everybody's trip to Miami is different depending on what they're looking for.
Of
So, Luke, I
course.
mean, my question is to you. So, are you a club person?
I'm no longer single, so no. And
Okay,
I've never been a club. To be fair, I've never been a club person. I'm
never been
not
a
gonna
club
pretend
person.
I was like a cool. Like I was never cool. I'm into movies, man. Like I was never cool.
Okay, so we won't take you to the club, but instead, there are great movie theaters there. There is a
Hmm.
really, it's emerging. There's
Hmm.
an emerging film scene there, which is pretty awesome.
Hmm.
So there's Miami Beach has like a rooftop cinema club
Okay.
where they set out all these chairs and they have a big projection screen and they give you headphones and you watch. That's where I watched for the first time Fight Club actually pretty recently. It was an
Nice.
incredible experience. So I would tell you to go there for sure.
Hmm.
That would be on your Miami list of things to do. I
Hmm.
mean, of course, there's the beach if you like the beach.
Of course.
But I think that the beaches a little north are actually better than the beaches in Miami, which
Ooh.
Miami people would not be happy about me saying that, but that's okay. I would say that, and then definitely trying all of the different kinds of food from all the different places.
Hmm.
Um, and beyond that, I mean, if you're not into clubbing, then still go dancing because Miami has a huge like salsa dance scene. I don't know if you're
Hmm.
into that, but I think you and your girlfriend would definitely try.
Hmm.
So,
No,
I'd
I
put
would
that
love
on.
that. I would
Yeah.
definitely love that. You mentioned Peruvian food. So I have
Yeah.
two questions. First of all,
Yeah.
you alluded to the fact that, your parents were also like immigrants. Were they immigrants from Peru by any
Not from
chance?
Peru. So my mom is actually from Argentina. My dad is from Nicaragua.
Oh,
Um, yes.
plot
So
twist.
neither Peruvian, but Peruvians just know how to throw down. I don't know how to say it better than that.
Because
Their food
I
is so good.
I thought there might be like a bit of bias from you, like because when he said, "Oh, Peruvian is my favorite," I was like, "Oh, is it because like your roots?" I was like, "Oh, no, it's not." Okay,
No, no,
that's a
actually
plot
totally
twist.
objective. Totally objective. It's just really, really good.
And that leads me to my second question. So Peruvian food, total unknown to me. So what should be the first Peruvian food I would taste? Like, what would you recommend to somebody
Ooh,
like, "Hey,
okay.
taste this"?
Perfect. I'm gonna give you your meal, right? So
Okay,
you start with
okay.
an appetizer. Appetizer, papa a la huancaína. So it's potatoes, basically with a sauce called huancaína on it, which is made of yellow chili and cheese. They're so
Ooh.
good. I mean, they're like delicious. Sometimes you serve it with avocado and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would tell you to get ceviche, which is raw fish, if you like raw fish.
Yep, yep.
You're into that. It's like cooked basically in like lemon lime juice. It's incredible. It's so good. I miss it all the time, every time that I'm not in Miami because it's kind of hard to get anywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're not by the ocean. And then, ooh, lomo saltado, which is like basically salty steak served with French fries. It's
Okay.
also delicious. And then I would tell you as a drink, if you're a drinker, to get a paloma, probably something light and refreshing, or a pisco sour, which is also light and refreshing.
Okay. So first,
Those are
okay,
the things.
couple of things. So first of all, I can listen to you speak Spanish for hours. Like it sounds so nice. Like wow. And the second thing, what is paloma? The drink.
So Paloma, I have to double check what the liquor is, but it's
Mhm.
always citrusy, it's refreshing. Let me double check because I don't want to be wrong. And
So
I
it
know
is a
it's funny
liquor.
that
So it's not like a. It's not. It is an alcoholic drink.
yes, they're both alcoholic drinks. The pisco
Ah.
sour is a little more traditionally Peruvian, but the
Hmm.
Paloma is tequila. Yeah.
Oh,
Tequila,
tequila.
grapefruit soda, or some kind of like fruit soda, and then lime is
Okay.
always. Yes.
All of that sounded very nice to me. Like I'm always, as I always say, like I'm always down to try new foods, new things,
Yeah.
at least once, no matter how it looks, no matter how it might appear. Because some foods and some cuisines might not look that appetizing to start with,
Right.
but once you try it, it's like this is fucking delicious.
Yeah.
I'm loving
Yeah.
this. So that's I always have a rule: try everything at least once, give it a chance,
Yeah.
and like most of the time I was like, this is good. So Peruvian, okay. Look, Miami is definitely like seems to be that place where, as you say, it's a party city, but it's
It
also
is.
that it seems to be its own thing. Like like I heard that before, like with the Hispanic population, but I haven't realized that's such a big difference that the majority of Florida basically there's like a beef between those two. I
Yeah,
find it kind
well,
of
it's
funny.
funny. I don't know because it's as Americans, we're so in America that
Hmm.
we don't know how other people perceive us necessarily, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I don't know how much you know about the American South,
I know a
like
few things. Yeah.
deep South, Southern
Yep.
accents, all that stuff, right? So that kind of is what North Middle Florida is. Like that's still very much like that
Hmm.
kind of culture, like South, deep South culture. So that's why Miami is so different, basically, is all these people came from Cuba and all these people came from South America and then started partying in Miami, and that's essentially what made it different.
So what I'm hearing is Miami is way cooler than the rest of it.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
you've heard it here first, folks. Miami is way cooler than the
You
rest of the
did, and
Florida.
I will, that is a hill that I will die on. So sorry,
Nice.
Florida.
Nice. No, I like that. I like that. Okay, I think with that we can move to the this or that, where I'll ask you two things or two options, and you tell me which one would you prefer and why. So,
Sure.
Natalie, TV shows or movies?
Movies, for sure. Because
Okay.
I don't have like the stamina for a TV show, and I feel like now we're trying to do movies as TV shows, and I like why? Just give me a movie then.
You mean
It's
all the
okay.
part one, part twos, and all that?
Part one, part two, I can get behind. Like I get
Okay.
it. Trilogy, Lord of the Rings is a trilogy. Some
Hmm.
stories need to be told in like a larger format. I understand
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But I'm
Hmm.
saying like Game of Thrones, I love it. I do. It's
Hmm.
great. But why is each episode like 90 minutes? That's my question. That's like I'm okay. If I'm investing that much time, that's insane.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
miss like 30-minute TV shows, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. I get it. Tea or coffee?
Coffee, definitely.
Nice.
I need the energy boost.
What is your quote unquote order? How do you take your coffee?
Oh, with a little bit of milk and a little bit of honey, which I know is what most people would say about
Hmm.
tea, but it works for coffee too.
Little bit, just a normal milk? No, nothing fancy like
Yeah,
a
no,
old.
nothing fancy, just
Okay,
normal
just
milk. Yeah.
and honey.
Well, but pretty basic. Yes, and honey, which I picked up from my partner because he always puts honey in his coffee, and so I
Nice.
stole it. It was pretty good. He
Okay,
was on.
nice. Money or free time?
I think those are like synonymous to me, so I would have to say free time
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
because you
Yeah.
can always make more money, but you can never get more free time.
Mm-hmm.
Time isn't free inherently.
Interesting. Okay. I like it. I like it. Okay. Honesty or other people's feelings?
Honesty, 100%.
Ooh.
Very, I think you have to be very upfront,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this business. I think that there's
Mm-hmm.
no room for kind of catering, not in a mean way, but just in
Yeah.
a realistic, professional way. Catering to people's feelings never gets you anywhere.
Uh, Fascinating. You strike me as that person who would really be like very like, no, I don't know how to word this. I'm just gonna say this. It's gonna sound wrong. Very considerate of other people's like feelings, and you just go straight to honesty. Like I didn't expect you to be like, yeah, honesty, dead on. And I'm like, oh,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a kind person, but I'm also a
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
Like
not
you
gonna say
seem like such a kind
confrontational,
person.
but
Yeah.
I'm I'm blunt and straightforward because I think that that is being kind and
Hmm.
considerate of someone else's feelings.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't think that you get anywhere by
Hmm.
kind of folding for other people.
Okay. No, no. To be fair, I totally get you and totally agree with you. So like 100%.
Yeah,
Being from Miami, I think this might be a dumb question, but I'll ask it anyway. Summer
sure.
or winter?
Summer. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like there might have been a time in my life where I was like, I don't know, like winter would be cool. No.
Mhm.
Like I
Is
will
there?
say summer is tough in its own way,
Mhm, mhm.
but I will take the sun over the snow.
Is there such a thing as winter in Miami?
Not really. I mean, we get like 2 or 3 days maybe that are like 30 degrees. And
Hmm.
then other than that, it's really, I mean, winter is not really a thing.
Yeah, but you obviously been to a like or colder countries and like states even.
I
So
have, yeah, I've been
snow,
to cooler countries and cooler states. But I have not necessarily enjoyed the
snow.
cold as much as I do
Mhm.
like the heat. It's also like a seasonal thing. People get seasonal depression and stuff like that because it gets so gray.
Yep.
Like that, I think also has something to do with it.
As a
I
person
like,
who lives in a gray city, and it like some place where the shine doesn't shine too much, like yeah, seasonal depression
yeah,
very much a thing. But
I
that's
can
why you need to
imagine.
take the vitamin D, like vitamin D
Like the
supplements.
supplements.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure in Scotland for sure.
It's actually recommended by the British government for all the people in the UK to take, even like
Really?
kids, because yeah, we don't get nearly enough sun.
So,
And if you come in to live like myself,
yeah,
and you come from a country that you has 4 seasons, and you used to like
right.
summer, then you
Yeah.
kind of miss the summer, and it's like
Yeah, I'm
shit.
sure. I'm sure you do. Where are you from originally, Luke?
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yeah,
you have
it's
all 4 seasons. Very
yes,
nice.
all four. But
Yeah.
like but that's the thing. Summer is very hot, and winter we actually get snow as well. So like it can go
Oh,
from
wow.
yeah from like a. I don't operate with Fahrenheit. I operate with Celsius. So
With
forgive me.
Celsius, that's fine. Yeah, I can understand Celsius.
But we can go from like 5 to like a -10 in like one day, and then
That's
you have a, like
great.
10. Yeah, you have like 10-15 centimeters of snow overnight, easy.
Wow. So that's like the
Hmm.
Midwest here, I feel like is like that.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
think
like the
most of
crazy.
like
But
Chicago, I think is like that, or New York is like
yeah,
that. I think, at least
yeah.
from what I've talked to people, I've never been to any of the United States of America.
Right.
I would
Right.
love to, but
Yeah, so
I've
you're
talked
gonna come and
to
you're gonna go to Miami and you're gonna take your trip and it'll be great. Yes.
correct.
Yes.
I also prefer summer to be honest. Like, give me summer all the time. And living in a cold place like this, my bones need to be warmed up every once in a while. That's
I
all.
can imagine. No, it gets freezing out there. What area of Scotland are you in, if you don't mind
North.
sharing?
It's
North,
it's
yeah.
it's so it's
Oh. You're living
Yeah.
the Viking life up there, my friend. That's crazy.
It is, but I'll say this: the nature
Yes,
anywhere in Scotland, beautiful. Doesn't
I'm
matter where you
sure.
live. Like you're
Gorgeous.
half an hour away from something totally stunning. Like sometimes
Yeah.
it even looks like New Zealand. That's why quite a
Mm.
few movies there was a stretch of like 10, 15 years ago where quite a few movies were made in like Highlands or Isle of Skye, like Prometheus shot here,
Yeah,
and
I'm
yeah.
sure.
So
Oh, that must be gorgeous.
it is. Would recommend, but only for visiting. You know, only met people like myself move here to live. So don't be me. Probably the most important question of all: ninjas or pirates?
Oh,
Hmm.
pirates.
Are okay. Why?
Pirate. Yeah. I mean, if I'm from Miami, we're ocean people, like I have to choose pirates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're meant to be on boats and going places and fighting other people drunkenly with rum bottles. That's just who we are.
Fair. And like it's important to understand. It's important to understand where where you come from, and it's important to understand who you are as a person. I like it.
Yeah,
And
I
and
think
the
that would be
last
my
question: free will or destiny?
free will or destiny.
Mm.
Ooh, that's really tough, actually, because I think that there are arguments for both.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say free will
Okay.
because that gives you the opportunity to, for better or worse, make different decisions, right?
Yes, you can better your life or you can totally fuck it up. It's all up to you.
Exactly. Exactly. It's all up to you. And I think that, with great power comes great responsibility. That's a Spider-Man quote, isn't
I was gonna say, who said that? That sounds so smart. Like,
it?
who said, like, write it
It
down, write it
wasn't
down.
me. It was just someone in Spider-Man. I don't remember who though.
It's such a great quote that, like, all the Spider-Man movies after it are trying to write a new quote around that, with the
Yeah,
same
I think
message,
that
but
they
they all
all kind
fail.
of say the same thing. Yeah,
But it never sounds so cool as the original one. It's just because it's so
exactly.
succinct and so nice and like so
Yeah.
to the point. But
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, and before we move to the flex part of this podcast, do you have any hot takes or controversial opinions you would like to share with us?
I have one huge hot take,
Tell
and
me.
I know people of my generation and below will hate me for it. I don't think we should have cell phones. No more cell phones.
Oh, you mean like smartphones?
Yes. No, not
Ah,
even. Like not even a flip phone. Just no. You cannot
damn.
contact me unless I am in a place and I want you to contact me.
So, so you want to go back to the landline
I
times?
do. I do. I
Oh,
do want to
okay.
go back to the landline time. So that way, if I'm home, I will pick up the phone. I will talk to you. If I'm at work, you have my work number.
Mm-hmm,
You can
mm-hmm,
call me at work. You can call me at home. You don't need to reach me at every hour of the day.
mm-hmm,
I don't like social media. I know it's like really funny because I need to have it as an actress. I do have it. I'm
mm-hmm,
sure we'll get there later in the podcast.
mm-hmm.
But I just don't the the dopamine rush. I think it's so fake.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I like having the intention to talk to people like when we set a time, when we plan something. I do a lot of letter writing, actually. I'm huge into cards, I'm huge into letters.
Okay.
I'm old like that. I don't know. I'm just like an old soul, I guess. I love the act of letter writing. I think that it's so intimate and personal and nice. And it's just totally like not an art that we practice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that would be my take. No more cell phones. We can use GPS in the car because I will admit I'm lost without that.
Same.
Um, and we can use computers in our homes when we set the time to use the computer or when we set the time to pick up the phone and call somebody. But no
Mm-hmm.
more cell phones. That's
So,
my take.
okay, that's fascinating. So,
I know.
are you one of those? Okay, are you one of those people who obviously you do have a cell phone? I would imagine, like a smartphone.
I do have a
Yes.
smartphone. I will say it is convenient for things like self-tapes and stuff like that when you have to
Mm-hmm,
send
mm-hmm.
something quickly.
So,
But I don't know.
are you what some people would call a bad texter? Like, somebody texts you, and is are you one of those people who might take like a day or two to reply back,
I'm
or are you a
awful.
great?
No, try like a week or two. I'm awful. And I like
Damn.
I send apologies to my friends and family all the time. It is just I think we just get so wrapped up because if it's a work text, for example, yeah, like 2 minutes maybe.
Mm-hmm,
But when it comes to personal text, it's one of those things again because like I don't think about it intentionally, so I file it away and I'm like I'll get there eventually, like when the work stuff is done.
mm-hmm,
And then
mm-hmm,
the work stuff is just never done. So like I with my friends and family, I'll set times. Like, okay, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. I'm gonna give you a call because it's
mm-hmm.
just like how we can best keep in touch
Okay.
with intention.
Because I was gonna say, like, you replied to my emails about this show, very quickly, and I really appreciated your responses. Like, I was like, damn, she's on it. I was like, okay, cool.
Well, yeah, email also, I mean, all the work that comes through. I feel like as
Mm,
an actor, and I mean a
Hmm.
producer, obviously. Producer, you're managing tons of different people, but as an actor
Hmm.
too, when the opportunity comes, you gotta take it
Yeah, you gotta
because
grab
they
it. Yeah.
die. Yeah.
So, and you mentioned letters. So, when was the last time you've written a letter or like a postcard?
Oh my gosh, 2 days ago, I think.
Wow.
Last
Can I
one.
ask
I
who
love
who was it addressed to?
it was addressed to my cousin, who I
Hmm.
love very much, who also lives in Florida. Not Miami though, so like not as
Oh,
cool,
okay.
but
I
love her
was like,
anyways.
is it like? I really hope like it's not like a street down where it's like just a letter for the sake of letter.
Yeah, I walked over and I just delivered it. No, 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 no. It did
No.
go in the mail. It did go in the mail.
Also, I have a feeling you will have the one of the prettiest handwritings I've ever seen. I have a feeling you strike me as that person who, like, you're like as you said, you're old soul. You like to
Yeah.
write letters and postcards. I bet you if you show me your handwriting, I will be like, that's totally legible and totally beautiful. Unlike mine, that just like my school teachers were always like, can you please try at least like a tiny bit?
Oh
No,
no.
my handwriting is shit. So,
No. I'm sure
but
it's not that bad. I have gotten compliments on mine before, but I will say I put
mhm.
effort into it. Because as a kid, I remember I had handwriting probably much like yours, and
Mm,
all the other girls had beautiful handwriting. And so, like, around it must have been like 6 or 7 years old. No, probably a little older, maybe 7 or 8 years old. I was like, okay, we're gonna fix the problem. And so I like practiced a lot. And I think like I used to write stories and stuff as a kid. So all of that practice finally paid off, and now I can send nice,
mm,
pretty letters to people.
okay. See, okay, so you wrote stories as a kid. Is that
Yeah.
something you would potentially want to do at some point in your career? Like obviously, like actor, producer. Would you want to eventually, like, write a screenplay, even direct a movie?
Maybe so okay, directing a movie, I admire directors so much. I don't think that I have the same like the right eye to be a director. I'm a
Mm-hmm,
great producer, I'm a good actress.
mm-hmm,
Directing, it takes so much knowledge, not only about like working with actors. I think like I've theater directed before, I've directed theatrically.
mm-hmm,
That's awesome. I can connect with actors, I can move them around in a space. But being able to use the camera as your eyes is something that I still kind of have a block with. I don't know. And directors are amazing the way they can just kind of see everything happen and they know where to put the camera. They know how to talk to their DP and their crew. They're
mm-hmm,
amazing. I admire them so much, but I don't know. I
mm-hmm.
don't know. I'm not confident in my skill to be able to do that necessarily,
Okay.
but I'd love to try. I'd love to try one day and see.
And what about some writing then? Like, have you thought about, oh, I have this story. Maybe when I have a bit of time, I'll put something down on a piece of, obviously a piece of paper with you, like,
Yeah, because I'm against technology. I'm just kidding. I love
yeah,
technology,
I
but
know.
um yeah, I mean I would love to. I used to write. So as a kid growing up,
Hmm.
I was lucky enough to grow up at a time when cameras were actually pretty readily available. Not nice ones, obviously, but a lot of people had like point and shoot digital cameras that also shot video. So I would
Hmm.
write these like stories and scripts and I'd make my friends come over as middle schoolers and like act in things. And I would like call their parents. Like
Hmm.
I was crazy. I would call their parents and be like, yeah, I need your daughter from, like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and all
Hmm.
this. And I would like plan the whole thing. I was insane. My mom was like, what is wrong with you?
Hmm.
You're 12, relax. But I would do it all the time, and it was like how, I don't know, it was how my friends and I hung out for a while, which was funny.
This is how, like, I feel like I know, or you can tell it was meant to be for you, this kind of career, because you were always like, like, oh yeah, like, what if this? What if I do this? What if I do it? Okay, I need this person. Let me call them. Or just, let's do shit.
Definitely.
Let's do this
Yeah.
together.
It was
That's awesome.
definitely how my brain was wired
And
forever.
see, and now
Yeah.
you're living the life.
No.
Now you're just doing what you love, and that must be awesome.
I mean, it's hard to find the words for it, honestly, and I'm full
Hmm.
of gratitude for every opportunity that I get to do what I
Hmm.
love.
Okay, okay. So speaking of movies, let's move to the Flix part of the podcast where I'll ask you,
Yes.
where we get to actually talk movies, Natalie. So where I'll ask you, what is the last new movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything 2020s.
2020s and beyond. I think 2020 actually, I know that it gets a lot of flack for not being a great year. I think it did have some great things.
Hmm.
I would say, oh my gosh, I have to double check that. You had me like going through my letterbox. I was being crazy.
Oh, so you do have a letterboxd. Okay,
I do
cool.
have a letterbox. I will say it's not always updated.
Of course.
I would say probably my last 5 out of 5, and it's going to sound like a basic answer because it won all the awards, but Everything Everywhere All at Once is fantastic.
It
It
is.
is, I think it shows that like being absurd is okay.
Hmm.
Because like parts of that movie are just ridiculous. Like the whole premise is kind of ridiculous, but
Yep.
it works. It works in some miraculous way, and I think that it's pretty amazing actually. And also just incredibly emotional. Like it's a story about a daughter and her mom
Hmm.
at the core of it. Just with, like martial arts and crazy people and Jamie Lee Curtis with like sausage fingers and all of that weird stuff that goes along with it.
And the
I think it's
dildo
incredible.
fight, like let's not forget,
Yes.
this is a Best Picture winner where there's an actual dildo fight.
Yes, which is insane. But I think I mean it was I think directed by the same people who directed Swiss Army Man,
Yes,
which is
Daniels is, yeah.
also I think kind of underrated. I think
Hmm.
that movie is also like magical in its own way because it is also an emotional, absurd story about like friendship and about loneliness, which is awesome.
No,
But I like
both.
that because I like that it forces people to not be afraid of being silly.
No, both of those movies excellent, and also those two guys, they funny fact, they also directed "Turn Down for What," that music video from like 2004, 13,
Are you
14. That song.
serious?
Yep. No, yeah, yeah.
That's
Look it up.
crazy.
Like I still
Okay,
remember
cool.
when I watched that video, and it's like a crazy video where like guy goes jumps through the ceiling and his like penis
Yeah.
dancing like into the rhythm of "Turn Down for What," and yeah, Daniel Sis directed that music video
Yeah,
too.
there it is. That's crazy.
And
That is
those two,
so funny.
and see, so there was like 2013, 14, so like in about 8 years from then, they won an
Yeah,
Oscar. And I'm like,
that's wild.
yeah, honestly, and
But I
such a
think
great
deserved.
movie.
I mean, the vision is crazy. Yeah, like
Yeah,
how do you even come up? This is one of those things where I'm like, how do you even write that, you know?
and how did like why would two rocks, motionless rocks, make you almost cry? Like there's
Right.
that scene,
Yeah.
the rock just be a
Yeah.
rock, don't think about it, just be a rock. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you fucking
No, it's
bastards, like you got
it's
me on
yeah.
like
How do you even do that? It's so good. It's so wonderful. It's so ridiculous. It's like a collage of a movie. I don't know how to describe it better than that.
That's a yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
It's a collage because there's so much going on and it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Honestly, great choice. Great choice. What is
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
last teen quote unquote movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything between 2003 and 2019.
Okay, so this one is going to be a little different.
Hmm.
Argentine movie called Wild Tales.
Yes, that's a
It's
great
so
one.
good. I'm so glad that you've watched it because I
Hmm.
didn't know. So in Spanish, it's Relatos Salvajes. And it's, again, I mean, maybe I just like ridiculous things, but it is crazy. It's
Hmm.
a like this, how would you describe it? It's also kind of a collage of a movie, but it's
Yeah.
different. It's anthology.
Yeah,
So
it's
different small
anthology.
periods
Yes.
in a larger film. And
They
just each one,
kind
well,
of
finish
connect.
your point.
No, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
I
they
mean,
kind of connect a
they
tiny
kind
bit.
of
Like
connect a little bit.
some of them like have like an overarching character, one overarching character, but
Character.
mostly it's like just like a story like a six, if I'm not mistaken, like six stories,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
the plot is like basically like a revenge. Like something goes
Yes,
wrong
like
and
in
there's like a
each one, it's
revenge.
like about the extremes of
Yes,
human emotion and revenge and all these things. And I think that movie has, I think, the strongest opening to any film I have ever seen.
that
It's so
opening.
good. It is so good. I mean, I highly recommend it to anybody. I'm sure it's pretty easy to find.
Mhm.
Um, it's
I
pretty,
watched it
pretty.
on Mubi, so like that's which is like a streaming services for like these like indie movies and curated movies and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And funny enough, this is the second time this movie is mentioned in this section, so I'm very
Is it
happy about
really?
this.
I'm
Yes.
so happy about that too. That makes me so happy.
No, yeah, like I think more and more people should check it out because genuinely it's a great movie. I've been lucky enough to watch some of the Brazilian movies now. And all the movies I've seen from Brazil are have been at least great, if not excellent. So I'm like, I need
I'm
to tap into
sure.
that because Brazil
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
to know what they're doing, and all the like
Brazil and
South
Argentina.
America.
Yeah, I mean, I think Latino films, I mean, there are so many awesome ones that I don't think a lot of people have seen. So I
Hmm.
definitely have more recommendations if anybody's looking for
Oh,
them.
me,
So
please. I'm the
yes, I
summer.
will I will give you all of them. I mean, El Secreto de sus Ojos is also a great one.
Oh, Secret in
Uh,
Her Eyes.
yes, the Argentine version, the original one is great. I haven't seen the
I've seen
remake.
that. I have seen that.
Uh, Good. Pan's
Hmm.
Labyrinth, I mean, is a classic. I think everybody's
Yes,
seen that one,
yes,
but it's
yes.
also amazing Latin cinema as well. Amores Perros.
Of course, yes.
Of course, perfect. Okay, amazing. There's one from Cuba called Azúcar Amargo, which is good too.
Never heard of it.
But
Okay.
it's black and white. I forget the year,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a look into Cuban culture at the time. It's pretty great.
Nice. No, like, see,
Yeah.
this is why I love talking about movies with different types of people. Because like, like you bring this knowledge, somebody else brings different knowledge, and I will just hear like, okay, the more movies I watch, the more I realize I like how little I've seen. And it's
I feel the
insane.
same way though, truly. Yeah, I mean, you're always learning from other people when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to films, which I think is great because it's so subjective. Everybody has different things that they like and don't like, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what makes it such a great genre and such a great hobby, honestly, to watch them.
Yeah, and again, art is very, very subjective to like to
So
you, to your
subjective, yeah.
experience, to my experience. So like, you love movie for A, B, and C, and I might don't
Yeah.
like that movie for that exactly the same reasons. And then we can talk about, hey, why did it work for you? Why did it not work for me? And vice versa. So
Right.
that's that,
Exactly. I
you know.
also have to shout out Napoleon Dynamite from this time as well. That actually is like one of my top four. One of my
This
favorite films of all time.
this is so funny because a person I had on the previous episode also shouted out Napoleon Dynamite. So
Because it's great, honestly. Like it
yes,
is fantastic. It's so good. And I mean also it like paved the way, I think, for a lot of indie cinema. So
100%. No,
yeah,
100%. That's a
I
that's also a
have
good
to
pick.
shout it out.
Good.
Yeah.
So far, like excellent choices so far. So let's see where you take me next. What is the last quote unquote adult movie you would rate 5 out of 5? Anything between
Okay.
2002 and 1975.
First of all, that's a ridiculous time frame. That is like
I
there are too many there
I
that's like the
apologize.
entire like every not every good movie because my favorite movie is actually in the old section, but
Okay.
so many amazing films from that time period. But I
Mm-hmm.
would say my last 5 out of 5, there's a Japanese film
Mm.
called Tampopo. Have you seen
Oh,
it?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I need to
Luke,
look
you're
it
gonna
up.
have to watch it. So it is essentially like a love letter to food, and it's
Ah.
about this woman who runs a ramen shop.
Mm.
And it's also again, it's like the theme of the day, collage of a film, also because there's the different stories that are all connected. When it comes to this woman running her ramen shop and like all the different ways that we as humans kind of interact with food,
Mm-hmm.
like in a romantic way and then like in a comedic way. And there's so many fun stories in that, and it's beautifully shot, and artfully told. I think it's from the 80s, I want to say.
Okay, how
Let me
do
look
you
it up.
spell that?
T-A-M
T-A-M. Okay.
Tampopo.
Ah. Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Oh, Jan
85.
ken Watanabe.
Yeah.
I see. I got it. I got it. Yeah, you were right. 1985. Yes.
Yeah. It is, I mean, it's so amazing. I highly recommend.
I will see. Here's the thing. I know many movies, even though those ones I've never seen, I've heard of. I've heard of many movies. I have not heard of this one. I'll never.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Yuzo Itami. And I have not seen a single thing this guy directed. So gives me somebody new to check out. Thank you so
Interesting
much.
for you. Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much. No, that's on. Honestly, this is such a great thing for me. Like, I'm gonna be a bit I'm gonna be a bit selfish here. I love checking out new movies I would have never even heard of otherwise. And like to
Yeah.
me, that just seems like, perfect avenue. This podcast is such a perfect avenue for me because like you come in and it's like, oh yeah, this is a Japanese movie from '85. I'm like, oh okay, and then I'll check it out and I'll remember and I'll check it out
Yeah.
later and I'm like, yes, she was right. Okay, so
Yeah. I think you'll like it.
you mentioned your favorite movie is old from the 1974 and
Yes.
older section. Are you gonna talk about it?
Yes. Am I gonna talk about it, Luke?
No, like
Why am I
like
here? No,
is
I'm
that
just
your
kidding.
last one? The last one that you would rate 5 out of 5, or is that a different one?
I would still rate it 5 out of 5, but I think that my favorite is very subjective.
Okay, of
So
course.
I'll give you the title is Harold and Maude. It's from
Nice.
the early 70s. Have you seen it?
Yes.
I mean, it's a classic, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for people who like movies, but I think people who don't like movies might struggle to connect with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a beautiful story. I love it. I love Ruth Gordon. I think she's fantastic in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's very emotional,
Mm-hmm.
but also kind of ridiculous. Essentially, I struggle to explain the story because on the surface, it's a movie about this younger guy who kind of falls in love with an older woman, is
Mm-hmm.
what it looks like. But when you go into the film, you see this person who is death obsessed, essentially, kind of fall in love with life and being alive.
Mm-hmm.
through what this woman kind of shows him about the world. And I think that that's like the magic of that movie. And I think it's hilarious. I think it works so well. I think like okay, this is like trigger warning, I guess. The suicide attempts that this guy like basically will set himself up in positions around his house to freak his parents out in like different suicide attempts. I laughed. And that's probably not great. But it's because you know that he's just trying to like essentially screw with everybody else.
Yeah.
But to see someone fall in love with life, especially like through somebody else who can teach them that life has so much to offer, is something really magical.
Hmm.
And the Cat Stevens score is also great. So,
Of course.
there's that.
So that's your favorite movie of all time, you would say?
Favorite movie of all time. I think it's
Nice.
beautiful. I love it. There was a point in my life where I wanted like one of the frames as a tattoo.
Hmm.
That point in my life has passed because you don't get hired when you do that. But
Mm. So
but
no
yeah,
tattoos for you. No, you don't have tattoos.
I have one.
Oh.
One that I got when I was very young and very dumb, which does make everybody laugh who sees it, but it's on my chest and it says Hispanic at the disco.
Okay.
It is funny. I have
Is there a
also
story about it? Is there like
there
why
no
that?
the story is I was entirely sober. It's not like I was drunk or anything. I was out with friends
Hmm.
and we popped into a tattoo shop because two of my friends really wanted to get something.
Hmm.
And I was like, huh, it'd be funny to get something too. And so I just kind of sat there for a minute and then I was like, that'd be funny.
Hmm.
And then I did it, and the person who did the tattoo thought that it was so dumb and so hilarious that she like gave me a deal and took some money off the price. That's just
Nice.
like, if that's what you really want, okay, girl.
So
But
that's
it
your
was
one and only.
that is my one and only. Yeah.
So you're not planning on any other ones.
I just can't. I mean, it's you in this industry, like it just not that you can't, because you can get them
Hmm.
covered up.
Hmm.
But it's such a hassle, and the makeup artists hate you, and it's like never something. There's never been anything else that I've like really, really wanted. Like I definitely want this on my body for the rest of my life, which
Hmm.
can't believe that that was the thing that I chose. But mistakes were made or not. I think it's funny.
It is very funny, actually. I find it funny, but also I have such a dumb sense of humor. Like, I find it so amusing. I was like, Hispanic at a disco.
I know, I know. One day I'll have kids and I'll have to tell them that I have that tattoo, but that's fine. It's
Mom, what does it mean? Well, there was this group, Panic at the
back in the
Disco.
day. Yeah. There
Back in
was an
my
old
day.
band. Yeah, exactly. Back in my day. They're not even like my favorite band. Like I don't, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was gonna ask, do you even like them?
I do like them. I love their music. I love their older stuff specifically.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, I can't say that they're like my top my top tier band or anything like that.
But
But
see, sometimes that's what life is about. Like sometimes you just end up in a tattoo shop, and then like, you know what? This would be kind of funny, and you do it, and then
I know.
in 50
Another good
years,
reminder to be silly.
exactly, in 50 years, you'll look at yourself like, yeah, that was funny.
That was funny. Exactly. I don't think that that like depreciates in value. I think it'll still be funny.
Correct. So we've talked about a lot of like older movies. Do you have a favorite movie decade?
So I was thinking about this a lot, and I
Hmm.
think because I love the 70s for what it was and like a lot of the film choices that were made at that time, but I think overall favorite movie decade, the 90s are hard to beat. Because
Nice.
you're still shooting on film, there's still so much artistic integrity. You're kind of starting to get more indie stories as like filmmaking equipment is becoming more widely available.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, there are just so many iconic films from that time also. It's hard to find a decade that will beat the 90s.
I've said it on this podcast a few times, but I don't mind repeating it. When I listen to DGA's podcast, Director Girls of America, because that's how cool I am. I listen to that shit. uh, Many of the like 50 something year old directors now, they grew up watching 70s movie, right? So they would often go back and refer to like 70s, 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 70s. But younger ones starting to pop up, and I genuinely believe as we get more and more like younger directors, like our age, right? 90s
Mhm.
will be more influential as we go because there's so much, like as you said, like indie cinema, like Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, just those two, what they laid that base of indie and showed, hey, there's a different way. We can make a movies quite cheap on a
Yeah.
budget and we still make money, and we can, we can do this.
Yeah,
And
and you have like the epics like Titanic or I mean
of course,
Spielberg stuff in general, all of
well,
his
yeah.
not all, many of his big ones, at that time.
Yeah, Jurassic Park, and then like the shoot
Yeah.
goes so well that he was like, you know what, George Lucas, finish this last week. I'm gonna go make my Oscar movie, Schindler's List, in Poland. Thank you. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool.
Well, okay, so I saw maybe you can help me. So I saw
All
this
right.
picture that alleged that it was Steven Spielberg walking from the set of Schindler's List to the set of Jurassic Park. And I was like, did they shoot at the same time? Do you know anything about that?
Only thing I know is, yeah, like basically the shoot has its problems, like the animatronics wouldn't occasionally
Right,
not work.
right.
But once it got like smoothened out, like apparently the rest of the shoot was quite fun and fine. Where
Yeah,
Spielberg actually, yeah, like left the production like a week early, gave it to George Lucas, to his buddy,
right.
and they're like, yeah, like can you shoot like these last couple of scenes? And I'll go, well, I don't know if they shot next to each other, but yeah, no,
Yeah, like
they were like
that
shot
seemed a
next
little
to.
crazy to me, but maybe,
Yeah, exactly. But that's an insane fucking run. Like you make
right?
Jurassic Park and then Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Like
Totally, totally polarizing.
yeah, totally polarizing, but both totally awesome movies, but in their own right. Like
Yes,
one of the most serious, sad drama you will ever see,
right.
and the other is Schindler's List. No, of course, and the other is Jurassic Park. But like and
Hey, there's a lot of drama in Jurassic Park.
there is
That's
like
fine.
think about that goat, poor goat.
Poor
Just
goat, truly. I know. Poor
T-Rex
guy.
doesn't wanna he wants to hunt. Just
Yeah.
okay, so eight 90s. That's awesome. Yeah,
I
I
would say
like
the
it.
90s because the color I think in the 70s was so beautiful. It's another one of the
Hmm.
things that I love about Harold and Maude is just the way that it's colored, I think is gorgeous.
Hmm.
And I would say the 60s too even actually had some really nice color work at that time. And like
Yes.
the as a theater person, there were a lot of movie musicals around the 60s, 70s that were great as well. But yeah, I think 90s just because of all of the incredible films that came out at that time.
Hmm. I've just, funny enough, I this morning I've just watched a Bye Bye Birdie from the 1963.
Did you really? Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
and I loved it, and I was like I
Yeah.
miss that movies used to look like this. Because
Yeah.
now, like as much as I love what we getting now, we're getting great movies. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm not trying to say we are
Yeah.
getting bad movies. But many of them, unless it's something like Brutalist, that like it's
Right.
so vividly different, they
Right.
kind of look samey because like it's mostly digital. It's mostly like
Yeah.
like the lighting is kind of
I
weirded
know, like
sometimes.
flat. Yeah.
And I miss when the movies like actually looked like that. And I miss
Yeah.
like I don't know if you would see it's slightly older than that, like 63, but have you ever seen the movie Red Shoes?
You know what? I've not seen Red Shoes. It's been on my list for a long
Oh.
time, but I've never seen it. So I know. Shame on
I've
me. I'll have to go
no
back.
no 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 no. I'm not gonna shame anybody. No no no. I'm not gonna shame. No, I'm not in business of shaming people. No, I will just say this. It's a movie from 1948, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm,
And if you put it on, especially like in the nicely restored Blu-ray, then Martin Scorsese himself helped to fund that restoration, apparently,
that's
because
great.
he loves it so
Yeah.
much. It's one of the most beautiful movies you'll ever see, and it's from 1948.
Really?
It's
Okay.
genuinely all like it's a ballet. Like I struggle with these like period pieces, even though it's not a
Yeah.
period piece, but it's a ballet
Yeah.
movie. Sounds like
Right.
it's a pretty costume, pretty costume, nice dresses movie, which I mostly struggle with,
Yes, I can understand.
and I love that one. I was so captivated, and there's the actual Red Shoes ballet
Yeah.
sequence. It's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I was mesmerized how it was shot, how it we see certain points of view I would never even consider for 1948. And I'm like,
Yeah.
these two guys, because there's also a duo, they were on a
Yeah.
different fucking level. I'm like, holy shit. I need to watch
Really?
more of those movies. I think the other
Yeah.
one is Black Narcissus is also apparently supposed to be excellent, but I
I've
haven't
heard that that
gotten
was excellent as well. Yeah.
yeah. So like
Mm.
Red Shoe, see, like you've given me quite a few recommendations. If you
Okay.
take anything from this
Red
podcast
shoes.
recording, Red Shoes, honestly, I'll
Definitely.
no, I'll love it. So,
Yeah. I love ballet too, so that's great.
see, have you ever
I
done
do.
ballet?
Yeah, so I danced for a long time.
Hmm.
But I think just ballet, I never like was professional or
Hmm.
anything when it came to ballet. It was just not my not my focus because like it's a lot of work to be a professional dancer. But I admire it so much and just the stories that are told
Hmm.
without words and just through dance and physicality, I think are beautiful. I think
Yeah,
it's
no,
something really special.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're so right, 100% right. Do you have any hot movie takes you would like to share with us?
For some reason, when I mention that Napoleon Dynamite is in my top four, people like look at me weird sometimes,
Really?
which I think maybe it's just because, and I know that a lot of people I think from our generation still appreciate it,
Hmm.
but younger people find it like awkward and weird. And I'm
Ah,
like, yeah, but it's kind of like the point. I don't know. It's not supposed to make sense. Um, any other hot movie takes? I didn't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and
oh,
people got
really?
upset with me about that. Yes.
Why?
I rarely say this. I thought it was too long and it did not
Hmm.
capture me. And I actually almost there's only two films that I've almost walked out of, and that was one of them.
What's the second? Okay, what's the second one?
Solo,
Okay, I
which I think
understand.
everybody has sympathy for that, right? I mean, we don't need to go down the whole Star Wars rabbit hole, but like there
I,
it's
I
not all
understand.
of them are winners, you know?
I've enjoyed Solo a bit more than others, but I understand why. I no no.
What's your bottom choice in the Star Wars franchise?
Before Rise of Skywalker, it probably would be Solo, but like Rise
Hmm.
of Skywalker is. Look, I'm a massive Star Wars person. I
Right.
grew up on on the originals, and I came of age as the or not came of age. I was like the right age when the prequels hit,
Right.
so I kind of
Right.
like the prequels and the sequels. Then I really like the first two, but a third one where they're like, you know what we were trying to
I
set up the
agree.
last movie? No,
Yes.
fuck all that because
Yeah.
people hated it. So nothing matters, and we have all new story, and Palpatine craps some cheeks. So oh yeah, he's back by the way, and that's
That's what I mean. Yeah. That like to me read very telenovela. I don't know if you know about
very telenovela.
telenovelas, but like that's exactly what it felt like to me. I was like, what? Like what is going on, guys? And I agree. I think that the first one I actually really liked. I liked the first one of the new trilogy. I was like, okay, we're setting something up here.
Yeah, yeah.
And the second one I think has great moments,
Hmm.
but I don't know where the story was going. And then the wrap up was just not there. So I was like, I just can't invest myself in any of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought the second one. So I struggled with it a tiny bit on a first midnight screening. That's how big of a nerd I was, like, or I am, because I go to midnight
Worse.
screenings for Star Wars. And I struggled with that tiny bit. And then on a rewatch with my girlfriend, because I introduced her to Star Wars. She's never seen a Star Wars movie, and I thought she's gonna hate it, and she actually loves it. And on a rewatch, she like I realized like how if Ryan Johnson was left to his own devices, he was cooking. Like he was cooking with something there.
And
Like
I
I was like,
agree. I think they should have
oh
just let him cook.
yeah, like and not pull back on everything he set up. Like because there's like, who was Ray? Oh, Ray is nobody. Like fuck that. Let's move along. Who is Snoke?
Yeah.
Oh, Snoke is dead. Don't worry about him. And I'm like, that was kind of
Yeah.
refreshing. That was like, yeah,
Yeah.
the fuel bit was like, oh yeah, we
Right.
now running out of fuel.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, but okay.
Right.
Hmm. Anyway, so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes, I don't like it. I don't like it. Some people think that I'm like crazy
Hmm.
and maybe they're right. I don't know. But I just for some reason to me it felt very self-indulgent and I just wasn't into it. And then
I.
Tarantino, I lose my patience with sometimes in general, but that
Hmm.
one really particularly got to me. And I think there are great moments in it.
Hmm.
There are some great scenes in it, but
Hmm.
as a cohesive whole, I was like, I don't know. And now you see like the entire Manson family has gone on to include Oscar winner Mikey Madison and like
Yep.
Sydney Sweeney and all of these and
Austin Butler,
Austin
Margaret
Butler,
Qualley,
Margaret Qualley, who
Qualley.
I think Margaret Qualley in I mean The Substance, obviously she's
Yes.
incredible, but Made, the TV show,
I haven't seen that yet.
oh my gosh. I mean, talk about emotional and she's incredible. Like what a
Hmm.
powerhouse performance. Yeah, she was fantastic.
For me, it
Um,
was the substance, like as you said.
yeah.
Like for me, like she was supposed to be there up there with Demi. I think she kind of got shafted a bit during like the award season. I think people are like, "Oh yeah, you're young, you have your time." It's like, but she was great.
No, I
And
agree. I think Demi also
Driveway
got
Dolls.
shafted between you and I, but
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, it is what it
whatever.
is.
I haven't seen Honora, so maybe I'm just speaking from a place of bias, but
Anura is great. I'll say, as much as I love Substance, and
mhm.
it's my number one movie of last year. Anora
Yeah,
is awesome. and
Yeah.
it was the flip of a coin. So I just commented on like when it happened. I was like, it's funny how the substance is literally about this, and
That's what
Mike
everybody's saying, and it's like true though. But it's
and Mikey
fine.
Madison, like this young hot girl, just won over this like older, more experienced woman, and I'm like,
Right.
hmm,
Huh.
interesting how
Where have
that
we seen
works.
this before? Yeah.
And people were like, well, substance is too much on the nose, too much on the nose, and I'm like, and then it happens. I'm like, too much on the nose, or is it the reality?
Is it the yeah,
People.
for real. And it's also like horror. I don't know. I feel like you're kind of allowed to be too on the nose if it's a horror. Not like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't
No,
know.
100%. No, 100%. I agree with you. Once Upon a Time, I only watched once. I really liked it. I need to rewatch it, but I do agree with you on Quentin Tarantino. Like sometimes I struggle with his movies. Like sometimes I'm like for example, Inglourious Bastards. I liked it. I'm not saying I
Yeah.
hate it, but I
Yeah.
don't. But people seem to absolutely go apeshit for that movie, and I'm like,
Exactly. And that's
I
the thing where I'm like, I don't know.
like it's
I don't know.
good. It's
Maybe it's
good.
that. Yeah, it's good, but
Like
it's
I
not
don't
that
understand
good.
the hype. Like
I don't know.
but like and then like one of the few I need to rewatch Pulp Fiction, but I'm
Right.
one of the few that are like again it's like I liked it, I didn't love it, but I
Yeah.
love Reservoir Dogs. Like his
You
feature,
know what? I haven't seen Reservoir Dogs.
oh, it's
That's a
awesome.
big blind spot for me, so I'll have
Hmm.
to see it at some point. Yeah.
No, it's awesome. I've seen Pulp Fiction first because obviously that's the movie you need to see, right?
Right.
And I was like, that was fine, that was good, that was good.
Yeah.
And then I was
All
like,
right.
oh, Reservoir Dogs is playing here. I need to watch it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a fucking movie. I was like, holy
Okay.
shit.
Okay. Yeah, I do think he's talented. I'm not trying to say that he isn't. And I think his story is also really interesting.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, that's just the one that really didn't resonate with me that everybody else seemed to adore. And I was like, I don't know, guys.
But again, that's why we have like art. Like art is totally
Exactly.
subjective. Like
Yeah.
and it doesn't resonate with you for some reason. That's fine. Like no, you shouldn't be shamed about that. Like or be like,
That's
oh
true.
no, you shouldn't speak of movies because you don't like this movie. I don't like these people. If somebody
Yeah.
tells you that, I'm like, no, 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 no.
No,
We're
that's
not
so
doing
true.
that. No, no, no.
Do you have a top movie of all time, Luke?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so
Uh,
what is your like number one? Or are we getting there later?
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Because this is about you. This is not about this old person. This is
I'm just
about
so
it.
curious.
My top movie has been for a while now, Lost in Translation. I
Interesting.
know it's not many, like I know many people like it, but it's not many
Yeah.
people's like top choice. And I understand I'm in a minority, but I love it
Yes.
because like there was like it hit me in the right age. I was a bit too young maybe to see it. I've seen it first for the first time like 14, 15 maybe. And
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say I understood everything, but that was one of the first ones I'm like, movies can be different. Movies can, they don't have to fall in love. They don't have to ride into the sunset. They can just end
Right.
on this like a nice bittersweet note and just
Yeah.
have that adventure with together. And the more I rewatch it, the more I'm like, it's just kind of like a not a happy place, but kind of like comfortable place, which is weird because it's kind of a melancholic movie.
Right.
I call Sofia Coppola is the queen of sadness.
That's funny. Yeah.
Like she
I can see it.
understands, and I feel like she really takes her experience living with her dad, Francis Ford Coppola, right?
Right.
And going from movie sets to movie sets and hotels to hotels, and it's like, yeah, I bet she goes through like she puts a lot of that into her movies because like she
Right.
understands that you can be surrounded by hundreds of people and yet you can feel lonely as fuck and you can
Isolate.
feel like something is out of place and you don't know what exactly and you don't know how to explain it. And I think to me that movie explain or shows it to you in a beautiful way.
Interesting. So you are on the Lost in Translation side of the Lost in Translation versus her debate.
I Yes, yes, yes.
You picked your side over her.
I love her. Like
Right.
I really like that movie too. But I'm
Yeah.
on that yes. And they used to date. Yeah, Spike Jonze they used to date, right? If I'm not
I think they
mistaken.
were married. I think
Oh, even
those movies
married.
were made during their divorce. Like those were the
Ah.
reactions to the divorce, which is hilarious that Scarlett Johansson is in both of them.
Well, and
Um,
it's also funny. It's also funny that, Anna Faris's character in Lost in Translation supposed to be Cameron Diaz, and apparently there's a rumor that Spike Jonze had a thing with her.
really?
But Sofia Coppola denies it. I'm like, look, I'm not the one to argue with Sofia Coppola. Obviously, she made the
That's true.
movie.
That's not our place,
Yeah,
but
but
how
it's kind of funny.
interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
It is very interesting.
Huh.
No, but okay, let's. Okay, I cannot wait to discuss this with you because obviously you're an actress. So I cannot
Yeah.
wait to. What do you think about who is the most, what you would say, underrated actor we have right now?
This is such a hard, you know what? This is like the only part that I was nervous about
Okay.
coming on and talking about because I like that's such a huge question.
Is it because you don't want to, like, left any, because you actually know some of these people and you don't want to be like, oh yeah, I just highlight one and not the other 20 you know?
No, because I think
Okay.
I would choose from the
hmm
celebrity circuit, you
hmm
know.
hmm
But the question is like who actually hasn't received the right recognition for their work? Because
hmm
some of these people are like legends but have never won an Oscar, you know, like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
hmm
But it's so hard to say because it's also we're in this weird time where movie stars like aren't really a thing anymore.
They're definitely
Like
like becoming extinct almost. Yeah.
it is. It's a weird place that we're in right
hmm
now because I
hmm
think that there are still people who are in a lot of stuff,
hmm
but we're still kind of holding on to the same names as we were holding on to like 10 years ago.
Or even
Like
like
there aren't that
90s.
many, yeah, there aren't that many like new
Yeah.
big names that are coming up.
I feel like they just to sorry, just to interrupt. I don't
Yeah,
think they
please.
are. I think they are. I think they are just differently famous. Like, and
Maybe
nowadays,
that's
like,
it.
like Zendaya, for example, right? She's
Yeah,
obviously gonna be like the queen of Hollywood. That, like, in she probably
at
is
some
already,
point.
right? Right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I
But
think
will she ever reach the stardom of like Julia Roberts, where she's gonna be
right.
such a universally recognized name? Because like
Yes.
nowadays, not many people consume the same type of media as we were back in the 90s, back in the 80s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So back, like when Julia Roberts, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, those like mega stars made it big, then yeah, their movies open big, 100 million easily because, it has Brad Pitt, it has George Clooney, it has Angelina Jolie, right?
right.
And now it's like, oh yeah, it's Zendaya, but hey, it's gonna be streaming in 2 weeks, so I'm not gonna go see it in the cinema,
Yeah.
even though I like Zendaya.
Right. You know what, though? That's a great point, though, because you're totally right. Now we have so many different types of media that we're consuming all the time that
hmm
we don't have the same universal like bank of people that we think of when we think about
hmm
movies, which
hmm
is a great thing for actors, but
Exactly.
also a terrible thing for actors. Like it's a double-edged sword because that means that there are more opportunities,
hmm
but at the same time, like the opportunity to actually make it, quote unquote, is very difficult. Like it's very difficult to get there.
hmm
Okay. Again, like I don't know who to pick that isn't recognized necessarily for their talent because you asked me this like a couple years ago. I probably would have said, or like a few years ago, I would have said like Andrew Garfield because he's awesome. And for a
hmm
while, he like wasn't doing anything huge. And then all of a sudden, the movie with him and Florence Pugh comes out and
Yeah, we live in
a
time. Yeah.
couple other ones that he's done.
hmm
He's an incredible theatrical actor as well.
hmm
And then I
hmm
think his screen presence is great. He was in this movie with Jessica Chastain that kind of went under the radar called The Eyes of Tammy Faye
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
about like the evangelical Christian people.
I was gonna say, did it? Because Jessica Chastain won an Oscar for that, so I guess maybe
Did
I'm
she,
a bit
did she really?
biased.
I think
Yes.
maybe it's that's so I didn't even know that. But I think it's funny because not a lot of people have seen it, at least when I talk about it.
To be
So
fair,
maybe
yeah.
that's just what it is.
To be fair,
But
maybe I'm just a bit biased because like I follow the Oscar movies and all that. So like,
right, you
to me
follow
it's
it
like,
closely.
oh yeah, of course. But like
Obviously.
but I think you're right actually. I think you're right.
But
I
yeah,
think
I think
if I ask, my coworkers, oh, have you seen The Eyes of Tammy Faye? They'll be like,
I'd be like,
what?
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think him and now also I think Daniel Radcliffe actually is still a little underrated. I think he's got a lot to give and he's been giving it in like indie circles. Like Swiss Army Man, I think
Yep.
was great.
Swiss Army Man. Yep.
I think who's is him and Paul Dano, right? Paul Dano, I feel
Yes.
like kind of plays the same person in everything he does. Which I kind of feel
Ooh.
bad for. Well, the Fablemans, I think the Fablemans was different for him.
Oh, The Fablemans are
Um,
awesome.
yeah, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Daniel Radcliffe is really cool and he's doing a lot of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy that he was able to escape kind of like the franchise bubble
Yeah.
to be able to do wackier things because it's kind of like what he wanted to do, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. And I think Robert Pattinson actually is another great example of someone who was very pigeonholed and has now kind of blossomed into this incredible, well, he always was an incredible actor, but
Mm-hmm.
now he's really transcended what everybody believed him to be into something different.
Like all the people from Twilight, Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson, even Anna Kendrick, like they like
Yeah.
managed to shake up that franchise, and they've
Yeah.
acknowledged like it is what it is, and
Right.
proven that oh yeah, we are actually quality actors. Like
Yeah.
watch us work, and you will see. And yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And to your
And
point,
they're great.
mhm, and to your point about Daniel Craig, have you seen the movie Guns Akimbo?
Yes.
Oh, so
Yes.
another one that's
Fantastic.
like D Daniel Radcliffe is like that's such a
Whack.
quirky movie.
So wacky. Yeah.
Yep,
But
yep.
but incredible and it works and it's
hmm
fun.
hmm
It's a good time. And I think that that's great.
100%.
Um,
Like I really like
yeah.
his career where he's like, I've made all the Harry Potter movies. So I don't have to buy like islands and expensive cars. I'll just live my
Yeah.
life comfortably. And now I'll just
Right.
do movies I really want to do. And so I'm
Yeah.
gonna be this farting corpse in Swiss Army Man because that's what I want to do.
Because why not? And it was great and it was
hmm
awesome. And then he and Paul Dano did a great job.
100%.
Um, which was really fun.
No, 100%. Who do you think is the most underrated actress we have right now? You can say yourself if you want.
Me, no, I'm not gonna say that. I think I
No, of
need to do
course.
more before I can be rated in any way, to be honest. But underrated actress that we have right now. It's so hard to say. I would say, similarly to some of the names I mentioned before, someone who I don't think gets enough credit for obscure work they've done, which is like a
hmm
very weird title to put on it, is Anne Hathaway. She was in
Nice.
the movie Rachel Getting Married.
Hmm.
I didn't even recognize her. Like I was like, who? This isn't Princess Diaries. Like what? Like who is that? It was, I mean, her performance was incredible, and the way that she just became this other person was fantastic. I think she did an excellent job. But I'm trying to think of other people who maybe are more up and coming who I think are underrated.
If I'm not mistaken, that was even her first Oscar nomination, Rachel getting married.
I think it might have been.
And to your point about Anne Hathaway, 100%. Like the movie Colossal, like it's awesome. Like that's her and Jason Sudeikis.
Yes, that was such a funny. And I'm glad you brought up Jason Sudeikis. I think is one that I'm really happy to see him doing stuff like Ted Lasso. That's just
Hmm.
like a little more him centered. I think he's such a great leading man. I think it's
Yep.
really nice to see him like in something that he feels so comfortable in. Like that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, actually, to the point of Ted Lasso, I think Rebecca Waddingham is amazing.
Hannah Wooding.
Hannah, yeah,
She
Hannah
plays
Waddingham. Excuse
Rebecca.
me.
She
She
see
plays Rebecca. That's why I was confused.
she plays
I think
Rebecca so well, right? She plays Rebecca
she's
so well.
fantastic. Yeah, and she has. I mean, talk about a presence. Honestly. I think depending on what she wants to do, obviously with her career later, I think she could do some pretty incredible stuff.
No, 100%. I've always been surprised that she is the shame nun from Game of Thrones. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how? Because I always thought like, she's in that like outfit where I'm like,
Yeah.
that's an older lady. And then you see
Right.
her, she's not an older lady, and she is
No,
like in a
she's
great
gorgeous.
shape. Like
Yeah.
she's probably twice my age, but like she's in the best, like like I will never be in that shape. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
No,
yeah,
she's
and
fantastic. Musical talent and all of it, I think.
yep,
So
yep.
I'm excited to see what else she does now, like what else she does more recently, kind of coming up.
100%. No, 100%. Like I'm right there with you. Like I'm so intrigued because she can do it all. She seems to be like on threat on all fronts, like singing,
Yeah.
acting, all
Yeah.
that.
Triple threat for
Funny.
sure.
She's funny as fuck. Like
Yeah. She
she's
is.
been on the panel shows as well, and she's funny. She's quick. I'm like, damn.
I, I love it. I love a comeback. Like I love Brendan Fraser's comeback. I love when
Yep.
people come back after not working for a while and they're like, you know what? I forgot this was fun. I want to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
100%.
great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So who do you think is the most underrated director we have right now?
Underrated director is so difficult also. Because like the ones who I like who were again like were more up and coming a
Hmm.
while ago are now like huge. Like Ryan Johnson
Yep.
after Knives Out is like everywhere because he's awesome. Like I think he's great and I love
Hmm.
his vision and the way that he works. Again, the way that he works with his DP is awesome.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. It's so tough.
It is. But like we came back to Star Wars again, Last Jedi, Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan Johnson.
Hmm.
Gosh, underrated.
Like we can keep it at there to be honest, because I still think he's more known because of Nice Out, and now it's gonna become a trilogy because obviously there's a Glass Onion, and now we're gonna get
Right,
the
right.
new one later on,
Another one.
and I cannot wait for that. So I
I know.
genuinely hope, like, as much as I enjoy these movies, I genuinely hope he now jumps to like something newish again, like, and just
Yeah,
does his own thing, kind of like, Knives Out was a new thing and it was awesome. Like, who would
Right.
have thought, hey, put James Bond with a Kentucky Fried accent
With a
as a
Kentucky Fried
detective.
accent, I know. And like
And
the whole, I mean, the cast that he's able to get for each movie is incredible.
yeah. And now,
But
yeah, now
he proved the concept for sure in the first one.
that's what I love about like him or Wes Anderson. They became these names are like, oh yeah, he's making a movie. I want to be in that movie. I don't care how much I'm getting paid. It
Yeah,
seems like because they have
yeah.
again every movie, half of Hollywood is there. Like Wes Anderson is the same. Like,
It's
Asteroid
true.
City. It's like this. Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks.
Everyone.
You have do 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 do
I
do do.
know.
And I'm like,
But I
how
feel
do
like
you
Wes
guys do it?
Anderson also has his like speed dial people, you know?
Well, yeah,
Like,
Jeff Goldblum, Willem Dafoe. Yeah,
right.
of course, he's got his people. Yes, yes. So like Ed Norton, all these. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite Wes Anderson movie, actually? I'm curious. I feel like that
Oh,
says a lot about a person.
oh. I still haven't seen the French Dispatch,
That's like my
but
favorite between you and I. But
okay,
and I like his work typically.
nice. I am between Animal Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, and even though I love dogs, and even though I
Hmm.
rated it only quote unquote 4.5 out of 5, but I need to rewatch Asteroid City because that hit
Yeah.
me in a way I wasn't expecting. And
Yeah.
the last scene, well, or there's a surprise cameo by this like
Right.
very famous actress that kind of steals
Yeah.
the movie, and I'm like, holy shit, that movie talks about like pain and how to process like loss of somebody and how to move on, and
Hmm.
such an interesting way. I need to rewatch it because I feel like this might jump that queue like heavily. So,
Yeah.
which one is yours?
Life Aquatic, I think would be my favorite.
I need to rewatch that. I've only watched that once, and I was like, damn,
Yeah.
that's a very quirky movie. I don't think I was ready for
It
that.
is again, you know what? Maybe I have to like accept that I'm a quirky person because that's like all of my
Nothing,
choices. But I don't
nothing wrong
know.
with that. Look,
Yeah.
if somebody's gonna shame me for it, no, nothing wrong with that. Life Aquatic, like I know many people love that movie, and talk about a casting, like a name
Yeah.
after name after name after name, and they just do silly
Yeah.
things because they trust Wes Anderson. And to me,
Definitely.
that's the best. That's the best, like you know link you can have with your director. If you like, okay, I don't know what's on this page, but you know what? I'll go with you and I'll
I'll
trust
trust
you.
you. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, I think that that kind of trust in somebody is incredible. And that's what you want, I think, when you're working with the director too. Because
100%.
as an actor, like you have the whole script, but you don't have the whole image, right? Like the whole
Yeah, yeah.
vision.
And
So
famously, like many
important.
people, many actors sign up on projects and like, on the paper it looked great, but it doesn't turn out well because reason
Yeah.
A, B, C, and the other way around. On a paper, like, oh yeah, I didn't know what I signed up for, and then I seen it and I was like, how did you do this? Like, this is fucking
Right.
beautiful. So it
Yeah.
works both ways. So I know
It
the next one is slightly hard because there's so many movies, but do you have one or two you would like to shout out as underrated?
underrated. Okay, I'm sure I do. I'm sure I do. I'll just have to think about it. I might have to take out the letterboxd here in a minute.
Okay,
Let me do
okay.
that
I was gonna say,
so
like,
that
this
I
is not
can
a test. You can cheat. Like,
refer. I know, because it's just so hard to remember everything I mean, I'm sure you who has seen so much, it's difficult for you too to remember.
yeah, I'm at that point. I'm like, did I watched this? Yeah, I have watched this. Yeah, it's been a minute, but I know I watched this, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to remind myself. Yeah,
Ooh, underrated just because I feel like it gets left behind from a lot of 90s movies. Big Night with Stanley Tucci.
is that a chef? Like he's in like a chef?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's like him and his brother making dinner essentially for a bunch of people. It's a beautiful movie. It just makes you want to, it's like a warm hug. I think it's
Mhm.
great. And they don't think a lot of people have seen it.
I've seen it like
Like,
last
that
year
would
or
be
2 years
great.
ago, actually. Yes. No, yeah, yeah. It's a nice movie. It's kind of like eating in one of those like bittersweet movies. It's like
Yeah,
definitely like has a nice soul, but it's not like overly sweet. It leaves you with like, oh yeah, that it kind of seems like life almost. As cliche as it
yeah,
sounds, it kind of seems like one of those like this is how life is. You know, y-
definitely.
some things will work out, some things might not. Hey, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
But it
So
is, that
any other one or
would
well,
be
one
one.
is just fine.
Let me see if I can think of one
Okay.
more. I'm like, again, going through all of the things that I've seen the past couple of years. It's just so hard. There's so many. And
I
like it's
know.
tough too when you're talking to movie people about movies because they've also kind of seen everything. So I'm trying to think about something that like maybe you might not have seen.
hmm hmm Well, you got me with that Japanese movie. That's like I'm like, oh damn, I need to.
I know, and it's a really good one too. I think
Hmm.
you're gonna like it. Hmm.
It's fine if we can just have that one. It's all good.
Yeah, I think maybe we keep it at that
Fair.
for the purpose of time, but
And I
that's
know
a good
you
one.
mentioned you don't really, well, you prefer movies to TV shows, but do you have a TV show that you want to shout out?
Oh, a TV show that I want to shout out. I'm trying to think. I definitely have like favorites.
Hmm.
I think, you know what, if I'm going to shout out one though, I would shout out Maid with Margaret Qualley in it because like the performance is just so good.
Hmm.
It's very frustrating, it's very emotional. It's like kind of hard to watch sometimes because like she's making these choices and you're like, "No, why would you do that?" But it's very human. It's a very
Okay,
human story. I think it might be more like limited series than TV show,
that's fine.
but it's very well done, very well made,
Hmm.
really tells the story of like a young mother very well.
Okay. Oh no, I'll definitely
It's
need to check it out because like last
beautiful.
year, Drive Away Dolls, The Substance, I still haven't seen Kinds of Kindness, but like
I haven't either. I don't have to see that one too.
I need to check it out. But like just because The Substance and Drive Away Dolls, which I think is a really underrated movie, I really enjoy that as well. I
Yeah.
like she became one of my like new favorites to watch out for because I feel like she's awesome. So yeah.
Yes. I think she's amazing. And like she also in the show plays across from her mom as her mom in the
Oh,
show.
Andy McDowell. Nice.
Yes, which is like so special. I
Mm-hmm.
think it must have been very special for them to be able to shoot it.
100%. That must be so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be
So I
so
know like
cool.
sometimes she gets flack for being a nepo baby, but I think that she deserves like the roles that she's getting because she's killing it.
And
So
again, like I feel like the flag is always like, for those who don't want to admit that. And I think she's
yeah,
kind of open about, oh yeah, I was. Oh yeah, I am. I
yeah,
am. And I
yeah. I
understand
don't think
the
she's never
privileges.
like hidden it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that come with that.
Yeah, like Jack Quaid is the other one who's like, oh, 100%. I've been given opportunities just because of who I am.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And I'm like, see, this is what most people, I think, when they like, talk about Nepo babies, that's what they want to see. They don't want to, like, we don't want
Yeah,
you to crucify yourself. We don't want you to never work. They just like
right,
admit you had a big advantage. You had a bunch of
right.
doors open for to you. That's all. That's all.
That's
No,
all. Yeah.
Natalie, this has been a blast. Thank you so much
Oh,
for your time. Like
of course.
I know you're a busy woman, so like, I need to let you go soon. But
No,
before
thank
we
you for
do,
having me. Yes.
not a problem. Before you do you have a question or two for me? Because I've been asking all these tough questions, and you've been gracious enough to answer all of them. So, is there one or two questions you would like to ask me?
Do we have time to do the whole interview over again, except that I ask you the questions? Okay, top ones. I got your favorite movie, which is amazing.
Hmm.
Um, I would say, what are three movies that, in your opinion, would describe you? Not necessarily your favorite, but three
Hmm.
that would like kind of describe your personality or who you are.
Hmm.
I'm
Oh,
giving you
that's a
three.
good
So you have some
question.
range. Yeah,
That's a good question. I would say like so Mulholland Drive would be one because I love David Lynch.
great choice. Yes.
And
R.I.P.
yeah, yes, rest in peace. And he was great in Fablemans in that final scene. I'm just gonna
He
say
was.
the moment I didn't know that it was coming and the moment he appeared as John Ford, I was like, fuck yeah. Oh, that just made so much sense, and I was so
It's
happy to
so
see
good.
him.
I know.
I would say Moulin Rouge because I love that musical.
Fantastic also.
Because that opened my eyes to how you can shoot musical utilizing the entire entire basically frame where Moon is talking, Moon is singing to you as you're
Yeah.
dancing on a cloud, and it
Yeah.
makes total sense because it's a musical.
Yeah.
And just yeah, and I think my final one would be my top one also, but like Airplane is unapologetic.
Airplane.
Yes, unapologetically
What a
like my
great
number three
one.
movie. It's
Oh
so
my
funny.
gosh. You know what? I should then shout out as a TV show, Columbo from the 70s. I've seen every episode 100 times. Breaking my
Nice.
own rule because all of those episodes are really long too, but that
Hmm. Hmm.
has Leslie Nielsen in it, who is, the I forget what his name is in Airplane,
Oh yeah, and
but he's the
he's a
lead.
doctor. He plays doctor.
Yes. I forget what it is. And is it? No, Leslie Ann Warren isn't in that one, I don't think.
No,
It's some
he's Leslie Nielsen in Colombo. I
Yes.
wasn't
So
aware.
he's in two episodes of
Ah, okay,
Columbo.
okay, okay, okay.
Yes, two different ones. I mean, the show, it's everybody who is anybody from the 70s is in it.
Hmm.
Ruth
Hmm.
Gordon is in episode two,
Nice.
which I think is my favorite one because I'm biased. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's a great show.
Hmm.
And Peter Falk is so good in that also.
Another acting legend. So yeah,
Another acting
100%.
legend. This is true. This is true.
Okay. Any other question?
Any other questions for you? Why should I visit Scotland besides the beautiful outdoors and the
Because
cows? Obviously, the cows, because you're there.
I'm here. Yeah. No, on a serious note, I think Edinburgh is great if you're into Harry Potter. You know, obviously you get visit about 10
Right.
different coffee shops where they claim J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter here.
It here, yeah, exactly.
But I think Scotland genuinely for nature, like it's a cop out answer for a reason. It's a
Right.
generic answer for a reason because there are some parts of Scotland, if you know where to go, you are transported to like it looks like New Zealand. It looks like out of this
Yeah.
world beautiful. And it's
Yeah.
still quite well hidden because like again, like
Yeah.
Prometheus, if you loved the opening sequence of Prometheus, where they're like
Hmm.
big waterfalls and all that, that's Scotland. That's
Yeah.
not New Zealand. You know, many
No,
people
it's
think, oh, that's New Zealand. Nope, that's Scotland. So like
nice.
I would say, and the Scottish people, the majority of Scottish people I've encountered, so lovely. Absolutely
Really?
delightful, straight, honest people,
Yeah.
genuinely great people. So yeah.
All right, you've sold me. Yeah,
No, thank you
Chinatown.
so much for being here. Thank you so much for spending time with me. If people enjoyed our conversation, do you have any social media or links they would, you would send them to?
I do. And I know I said it, I hated it in the beginning, but I am out there.
Yeah.
You can find me at NATI_ROSA on Instagram, Nati Rosa, or on Letterboxd with the same username.
Okay.
And I'm also, I mean, you can look me up on IMDb under Natalie Veater.
Mm-hmm.
I exist out there.
Nice.
Feel free to drop a line and say hi.
All right. All those links will be down there in the description so people just can click on and follow you.
Perfect.
For me, it's always in movies lost on Letterboxd, lostinmovies.co.uk, which is my blog, or here every other Friday. So this podcast is part of SPDM Crew Podcast Media. Special thanks goes to Highflyer Creative for designing my logo. To see what else they have happening, visit highflyercreative.com. And until next time, bye bye.